Hello, you beautiful people out there, and welcome to the Banners Gaming video on the improvements of the leveling system. This is Kimo.
And this is wisdom.
And today we're going to be talking about the improvements to the leveling and questing system in Legion. Now, everybody's seen in Warlords the huge improvement in questing. People can say a lot about Warlords, but one thing they can't say is that the questing sucked. You had a really good interactive opening zone, you had really nice, cool quests, you've had many different things that we're going to talk about in relationship to Legion, but it was definitely the best questing experience so far. So going into Legion, we learned a couple things. During Warlords, the opening was you went in with Thrall and a bunch of badasses, and you went into a kind of solo scenario, and you wrecked face, and it was awesome. It introduced you to some of the characters, and it was really cool. Going into Legion, we are going to be doing a 40-person, 20 alliance, 20 horde, cross faction opening scenario, going onto the Broken Isle, leading the charge from everybody's airship being destroyed and Varian and Sylvanus working together, and we're just going to be pushing in.
Yeah, I really do think that we saw some effective stuff in the beginning of Warlords, and that was really pretty dynamic. I mean, the whole process of clearing the space to set up your garrison and going through the process of figuring out, all right, who do I want to recruit? Who will my initial followers be right off the bat? And getting introduced to the system that way, I felt like that was pretty effective. But, one of the things that I felt like it did fall a little bit short on was when we were trying to integrate the events, right? The like those marked off zones on the world map where you could go in and you had to complete a little checklist of items, like kill a certain number of guys and go interact with certain objects and that kind of a thing, in order to get experience and gold and the questing experience, right? So the quest would take you to a certain location, but then there would be no real indication of whether or not you were supposed to be going and doing the nearby objective. Like, did that relate to what you were doing, or would you come into that from another side, or how did that really fit into the picture? That disconnect there, that to me was problematic, right? Because I didn't like having to just voluntarily go off on my own and decide, hey, I'm going to go kill 70 Saberon just because, and then arbitrarily be rewarded for it. I really hope that if we see that sort of tech being put into Legion, it's in a way that drives you there, right? So we get pushed into, okay, you're now in a big open zone, and these are some of the things that you should be doing, and your questing takes place in there. And along the way, you can go and pick up additional objectives and do extra tasks on top of the quest that you're already doing. And that level of integration, I didn't feel like that was there, and it's something that I want to see more of.
The bonus objectives were kind of off the map and weird, and didn't play into the story really. But some of the stuff that was pretty awesome is the events. There was random events you would walk into, and there was random bosses that seemed very epic and special. Now try to bear a open mind, because now as we're going through the 11th time or doing your alt for the 5th time, it seems like, oh, okay, this dragon again or this silver mob again, and it doesn't seem very special. But try to remember your first couple run throughs. Oh, I found this rare mob. This is awesome. Oh, this event. I wonder what I'm going to get from finding this event. It was special. It was unique. It never was in the leveling system before. So I hope that kind of thing is something they are keeping into the questing zones coming into Legion. I have a lot of faith in the team because of the entirety of questing and how much they've improved it. But I hope they keep some things and get rid of some things.
That novelty that you're talking about, I think that that's really, really crucial here. As someone who doesn't play a lot of alts, I know that one of the big reasons I don't do that is because I mean, it's in my name, but I have this, I absorb a lot of the information about the quests that I go through and things like that. And so when I bump back into them again, I already know exactly what's going to happen. I know what to expect. I know where to go, what mobs to kill, maybe even the best way to handle it. And that just really sucks the fun out of it for me. Having those brand new novel experiences and quest lines that I've never done before, that is something that I really am looking forward to. Now, the Garrison Outposts address this to some extent because that gives you basically two ways to have about half of your questing experience through Warlords be different, right? So you can go through on one character and build, building A all the way through, right? You always pick the one on the left, and that gives you a different set of quests to do in the zone. They're not all brand new, but a good chunk of them are. Or you can go through and build the other building, and that's going to set you up to do those brand new quests. Now, I hope that we see that in Legion, but I know that they are pretty much getting rid of the Garrison Outposts. So I'm not sure how that'll be integrated, but I hope that we see something that adds some vibrancy back into zones for at least one alt.
Now, one of the things they're adding is where the world is going to scale. So if wisdom is level 105 and I'm level 108, because obviously I'm going to be faster than him, let's be real now. Um, we can go, oh, neither one of us did this one zone. So we can go and we can start that zone together for relevant experience, relevant gear rewards for our level, which is awesome. It's another big step in the phasing technology. You know, they started with challenge modes, and now they really are pushing it to make it usable in many different, aspects of the game. The only thing that I would really love is if there was a way where somebody could come in halfway through. So, like for me and Wisdom the Quest together, we either have to start in the same zone together, or we have to catch up or wait for somebody to get the quest that we're on. I would love it if Blizzard put in an option of, hey, if you did this quest already, like say Wisdom was 5 quests ahead of me, he could take the quest that I'm on for half experience, just so we can play together. He can still get experience. I can catch up to him, and we can, completing the circle of trying to play together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I really do like where you're going with it, and I think that there is something there. I might even go so far as to say I would be willing to flat out be able to redo quests for no reward. So if I'm going back and I want to go halfway back through a zone and start picking up to play with somebody, I would be willing to do that and not really be able to get anything out of it, right? So I'm not going to be able to get another set of quest rewards or experience, because I think that if you offer experience, there might be balance issues there where people just decide to farm one quest over and over again that's really easy for them. I don't know. That strikes me as maybe being an issue. I mean, I'm sure that some of you guys have seen the videos of boosting from, what is it, like 92 to 100 in 82 to 90, I think it is. It's something silly.
It's very
Where,
fast.
yeah, you can go out and talk to the cooking vendor in Valley of the Four Winds, and you can boost up through there if you have all of the mats to do it.
So, real quick though, that's a good point, and people would find that one quest that's really fast that gives a good amount of XP and abuse it. So maybe a one-time use of a 50% experience boost, and then you get nothing. But essentially now, wouldn't you be technically doing the quest for no rewards if you say now in Warlords, I'm halfway through a zone, you're 3/4, you just come help me do whatever on my quest without technically having my quest? You could technically do that now.
Well, to some extent, you're right. You know, I can just come back and hang around and help you. But I think that when the phasing is, or excuse me, the scaling is involved, it won't just be, oh, let me get on my level 100 or my level 99 or whatever and boost you through this content because I can kill everything faster than you. It's going to bring a sense of doing it together, right? There are some quests where you have to, let's say, like open boxes or, pick up objects that are out in the world, and you can't click on those things when you're not on the quest. So being able to pick that quest up again and follow along and maybe take the time to read actually through the quest text, something I certainly never take the time to do, and get involved with the way that some of the things are working by being on the quest with somebody, I think that might be nice, especially for those instances where you don't have to deal with tagging issues, right? So like if you need 80, or excuse me, well, more like 20 kills for a particular quest, if I pull all 20 of those things and AoE them down before you ever show up, you won't get credit for that unless we're both on the quest together. So that's one of those points where I think that being able to pick that back up, and even if you don't get anything out of it, really being able to step along with somebody in their quest line would be helpful.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I see that could be abused. So, Blizzard, one time, 50%. Let's do it. Make it happen, Blizzard. I like it.
Now, one pretty noteworthy point in here, of course, there's going to be a larger video dedicated to the upcoming Transmog system in Legion, but it bears note mentioning here, is that items from quests, even the rewards you don't choose, will be added to your Transmog dictionary, which is, again, something we will touch on in a later video, so stay tuned for that. But this means that, if I want maybe an offhand item because it's a great replacement for what I'm using, but I really love the look of a main hand weapon model, I get both, right? I don't have to pick in terms of appearances. I can have the look, even if the stats are garbage, and I can actually get the item I want as well. So I like that they're doing that. I think that that's a really smart move, because there are some quest items that I wish I had taken at the time for Transmog that I can now never get my hands on.
That's true. Another thing that's interesting is, I've heard people complaining that, they haven't added any dungeon mounts in Panda or I keep calling it Panda Land. It's a terrible thing. Mist of Pandaria or Warlords, and it seems like that they are taking those mounts away, but people are forgetting that they are adding those mounts to the open world. So in Warlords, there was no dungeon mounts, but there was a couple, like one mob in almost every area that dropped a mount if you got it, if you found it. It was really rare, 100% drop. I think that they should continue that because it brings people into the world. You're not all zoning a dungeon, 50 times for one mount. Everybody is hunting this in the real world. When you finally do find it, you get it. And it's a great feeling.
I do think that it also really encourages community play. There have been a few times where I've been online, and for Pound Fist in particular, I got Pound Fist fairly early on once the first couple kills started going out. I only got that because somebody on my Real ID list was kind enough to broadcast, and I got invited to a raid group that they had stumbled into. So we had about 120 people getting the mount off of that kill. And I think that that big community dialogue is really important because it helps people feel like there's a reason to work together rather than trying to solo camp like the time lost proto drake because it's only one for the one person who manages to get their hand on it. Although it does sort of reduce the specialness of those mounts because they are so rare. I think that it's okay. I don't see a lot of people running around on Pound Fist even today, especially around Storm Shield or something like that. So I don't think that a big chunk of the player base has it, even though a big chunk of the player base could get their hands on it. So I like that it encourages community play rather than, bad selfish behavior.
I agree. And even with the low spawn rate, that kind of helps with the 100% drop. When I got my Pound Fist, I was looking for group for I think a Kaz group, and I saw it up, and I'm like, oh, this is probably a troll. Not that there's any trolls on World of Warcraft ever that would put that up just to get a bunch of people to come over there and waste their time and get a laugh out of it. But it happened to be a real group, and I just randomly got Pound Fist, and I was like, oh wow, I've been playing this expansion almost every day for 8 months, and I got Pound Fist finally. Like, I don't see them in the world often, so it does. I feel like it keeps that specialness and rareness while making people go into the world. Um,
Well, I think maybe a part of that has to do with the fact that nobody ever leaves their garrison, but that's a different conversation.
yes, but the questing has really improved, and the short of it is, I see them taking those improvements and even adding to it with making it easier to play with your friends, making really cool scenarios and using that technology to open up the questing, pairing it with transmog rewards and pairing it with your artifacts from Legion. It just really, really just ties it all in nicely, and I feel like they're going in a great direction.
Kimo brings up this last big point that I want to take the time to touch on. I can't tell you how excited I am that we are going to have artifact integration into the Broken Isles quest zones. Everybody, regardless of class and spec, will have something that they get to do in the Broken Isles that involves their artifact weapon, and it's going to be in different zones for different people. It's going to be a unique player-based scenario where you're not competing with 40 other people of your same specialization for something like this. It's all going to be phased out, and it's at least that's what we've been told, and it looks like it'll be a nice, clean, you get to be the main character kind of a moment where it's different than just going out and going maybe back into an old zone or different part of the world to get your hands on it. But it's really going to be powering up your artifact and working alongside the different factions that we're going to be meeting in Legion and really getting to do something special and, making that part of the zone at least unique to you and your specialization.
All right, guys, well, that wraps up our discussion. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And if you like the art, please check out our artist link below. This is Kimo.
And I've been Wisdom. We have one little question for all of you tonight. What feature would you like to see added in the next round of questing additions? Is there something in particular that you're really excited for that you haven't seen added to Legion yet? Let us know down below. Thank you all, and have a good night.
Bye-bye.